Hey there, welcome back to the Soul Enchilada, where the whole enchilada of women's issues are on the table. Your shit show is our shit show, ladies. So let's have it. Today we're going to be talking about body image issues. Ugh, I have these. If you are someone like me who can't stand putting on a swimsuit during the summer or have a loved one that really struggles with body image issues, I hope you'll stay tuned as we have this awesome conversation today.
Yes. And if you're new with us, I just want you to know we surveyed over 500 women. We asked them, if you could ask a therapist any question, what would it be? And we got the whole enchilada of women's issues. So today, yes, we're tackling body image. I'm here with our licensed therapist, Christine Ruth. I am Laura Bussey, your co-host. Christine, are you ready for this hot topic?
I'm ready. Yeah, lay it on me, Laura. What's the question for today?
She writes, Hey, Christine and Laura, summer is a really hard time for me because I'm invited to all kinds of events where I should be wearing a bathing suit. I hate how I look even in shorts.
Mhm.
How do I get over this and still have fun this summer?
Mhm. Yeah, I say this all the time, I know, but I really appreciate this question because I, in fact, was just talking to my daughter who spent the week at camp as a counselor at a camp here in northern Minnesota, where I happen to be right now. And she was just saying that teen after teen after teen in her cabin, in her group, her faith study group talked about this issue, like how much they're struggling with feeling ugly, feeling self-conscious, struggling with body shame. Like there's something wrong with me. No one will ever love like me. No one will ever want to go out with me. And I just thought, how
Mm.
common is this that all these teenage girls, and I know from my practice, tons of college age students and young adult women, maybe all of us struggle with body image issues, Laura. What do you think?
Oh my goodness. I think it starts as soon as we're little. I mean, I think even in elementary school, we start comparing ourselves to one another. We start looking at the size of our clothes
Mhm.
and then add puberty in that.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I went from like little in elementary school to full blast puberty in 6th grade. And
Mhm.
my dad put me on a diet in
Mhm.
6th grade, and he measured out my food and weighed it and put it on the plate, and that's what I could eat. So
Wow.
it is full. For me, it has been a part of my life ever since I can remember. Ever since I can remember, body image has been a big deal. A big deal. And
Mhm.
I'm with this listener. I do not like bathing suit. Bathing
Mhm.
suit time of the year. I'm like trying to squeeze my whole enchilada into my miracle suit.
Yes. Amen, right? I thank you for saying that, Laura, right? I mean, this is when we're all on the web looking at Land's End sweatshirts that are or swimsuits, not sweatshirts, that look like sweatshirts, right? That are like full body coverage. Like, where can I find a swimsuit that starts at my neck and goes right below my knees, right? I mean, there's got to be a swimsuit that looks like that. Anyway, it's all good, but I mean, I've gone through menopause, and so I spend a lot of time talking to women about how, what is our relationship with our body, that our bodies are changing, and I know that we have the whole gamut of listeners out there, whether it's teenagers, whether you're like me in your 50s and 60s and your metabolism is majorly slowing down. And I think, the first thing that we have to do is start to notice and bring our awareness to our relationship to our bodies and this sort of self-talk that we have related to our bodies. I mean, if you recorded the things I say to myself about my body, when I'm having my internal dialogue, you would hear things like, "Oh, you're so fat. What is wrong with you? What were you thinking eating that? You shouldn't have that." If my body was a human being and I was talking to her like that, she would be this part of me would be so disparaged, so traumatized by the way I've talked to her for decades that
Mhm.
she would be hiding and cowering in a corner, right? Like, "What's wrong with you? You don't look like her. Uh, why the hell are you eating that dessert? What were you thinking when you put that in your mouth? You look terrible in that." I mean, just the amount of hours we spend as a culture in front of mirrors evaluating ourselves.
Mhm.
At least, I can say that personally, it's so sad the way I treat this part of me. I'm so mean to her. I'm so mean to her. My bot, this part, as I think about parts, because I like to use parts language as an IFS therapist, that I have a part, an inner child that I disparage all the time and I beat up on her. And if I think of her as a part of me, I feel a little compassionate, sad, like it's abusive and she's traumatized,
Mm.
right?
And you're a therapist.
I'm a therapist. I know better. I know better. So
Okay,
why
I
do
let
we do this,
you
Laura?
say that. I let you say that, and I wasn't gonna say that.
No,
But it's
I know
amazing.
better.
And so often we just let those tapes go on and on and on. And for me, I think originally the words came to me from my father, you need to lose weight, you're so fat, you should be able to fit in this. But then they became my voice. They
Mm,
became my voice when I grew up, older. I look at myself in pictures of what I looked like in high school when I was playing lacrosse and soccer. And
mm,
I thought I was fat, like truly fat. And I
yeah,
look back at those pictures and I was like, no, you were athletic. You
yeah.
had big calves. You had big thighs because you were running, you were sprinting, you were exercising, you were strong. But
Mm,
instead of telling
mhm.
myself, you are strong, Laura, I was
Yeah.
saying you are fat. And I carried that into college and then beyond. And my heart just goes out to every single woman. I know we're probably not going to have time to go really deep in this podcast, but I hope sometime very soon we can talk about eating disorders and disordered eating because unless you just want to go there, Christine, if you want to go there right now, it is
Mhm,
epidemic right
mhm,
now in our
mhm,
culture.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
know COVID, when we were going through the pandemic, there was just a huge increase of women trying to control their eating because
mhm.
so many other things we couldn't control, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't even control some of the food we got, but
Mhm,
there
mhm.
was such an increase. And I think here we are post COVID, I hope, and we can think, what are we thinking about? What are those voices saying to ourselves? And is
Mhm,
that someone who you would want to listen to? Is that
mhm,
voice someone who's nurturing and caring and compassionate and kind? Or
mhm.
is that a voice that you would want to push away? Because I have to say to you, Christine, you are beautiful and you are not fat. And yeah, you ate that, whatever that was, but
Mhm,
there was
mhm.
a reason for it, right? And you've taught me that to go
Yeah,
inside and say, what did she need? Why
right.
did you eat all that chocolate? Well, she needed comfort in that moment. So
Yeah.
we need to, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I love what you're saying, Laura. I mean, first of all, right, externalize this part of you. Think of your body as a part of you and just notice your relationship to that part and how you're treating it, right? And then, I really appreciated that you named the pandemic as being a time where disordered eating skyrocketed, because disordered eating By the way, there's eating disorders, which in the DSM, my diagnostic manual, there are eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia. And some statistics say that, 5% up to 15% of young women struggle with eating disorders defined as anorexia, which I don't eat enough. I restrict my eating, or bulimia, which is I binge eat. And you can talk about that more, Laura, too. But then there's disordered eating, which is disordered eating is a broader term describing the way our culture is constantly restricting food. So as soon as we restrict a food, right? As soon as we say to ourselves, I'm not allowed to eat this, or I can only have this many calories, and start counting our calories in a rigid way,
Mhm.
we stop having an intuitive relationship with food, which is a mindful relationship with food, which is going inside and going, am I hungry or am I not hungry? And learning to, in a sense, reconnect with our natural, um, appetite, and our natural, our natural relationship with food. And we start, in a sense, using these external devices to evaluate whether I'm allowed to have that or not. And that's disordered eating, right? Like, I can't trust myself. I can't trust my own relationship with food. So I'm like evaluating, I'm counting my calories. I'm saying, yes, I can have this. No, I can't. And what we found is that as soon as we get into that kind of disordered eating, meaning I'm counting my calories, I'm rigidly focusing on some external measure of whether I can eat that, we found that up to 79% of people will manage their feeling of failure by eating more. So if up to 80% of people, and I'm one of those, I know that the moment I start going on Weight Watchers, counting my calories, going on keto and saying, I can have this, but I can't have this, can't have this. And I manage my failure by eating more, which is
Well, let
not
me ask you a
helpful.
question. If you go on a rigid diet, I grew up on
Mhm.
diets, tried everything
Right.
under the sun. When you are on a diet,
Yeah.
what do you think about all the time? What is your brain consumed about?
Right. The whole time
Food.
you're like, I can't have that. I can't have that. Now I'm in an obsessive relationship with that thing that I can have. What I can't
Yes.
have, right? And so
Right.
our willpower is so weak. We found that we only have about 2 to 3 hours of willpower a day, and that's a liberal estimate, right? That willpower is like a muscle. And we only have access to that muscle for about 2 to 3 hours a day. And the rest of the day, we kind of rely on our default software to kind of guide us through the day.
Okay, makes total sense that Ben and Jerry's starts calling me from the freezer at about 9 o'clock at night because I have no willpower.
That's
That
right.
hour.
That's right. Your willpower is depleted, which is why, if we can set out in the day and go, okay, set out all these resolutions, and we can generally make it 2 to 3 hours if we're effort through something. And then that willpower gets depleted, and then we have parts that fight back and feel deprived and say, you're not going to tell me what to do. You can't tell me that I can't have that. And then those parts will sabotage the willpower part, right? So we have these two parts now that have gotten into a power struggle. And every day it's like, will the willpower part win? Will the adolescent part or the sabotager win? That's like, freedom, freedom. And those parts are, totally locked in combat with each other. And what a vicious cycle we catch ourselves in.
Oh, this is so helpful. This is so helpful. I think the reason why I love Jesus so much, and he's the the God I follow is because I always picture him as being rebellious, rising up, going against the grain, pulling women into his tribe and saying, "Mary, follow me." I love
Nice.
Jesus so much, but I think the rebellious part of Jesus is what I identify with so much. And so
Yes.
that makes so much sense to me because it is
Mhm.
the rebellious part of me that rises up and is like, you should not be controlled by what the book says. You
Yes.
can do whatever you want, Laura. You are an adult. You make your own
Right.
decisions. You
Right.
deserve that incredible pile of enchiladas with extra cheese and guacamole. And oh, I'm getting hungry just talking about it. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes so much sense. Those different
Yeah.
parts raging war against each other.
Yeah. Right? And that's why I love how you illustrate that. I mean, that's why it's so important, first of all, is to first, recognize the parts that are critical of the way we're eating, recognize our perfectionist parts that are trying to you know meet some sort of external standard about what's beautiful or not beautiful. And unfortunately, we live in a culture right now where we idolize. When we talk about idolatry, or think about this from a spiritual sense, we idolize being thin and looking young, which is making us all really sick. Just making us all really sick because we can't look young forever. I mean, some people in New Jersey are really trying. Well, not just in New Jersey, but everywhere in our culture, trying to look young forever, right? We dye our hair. We try to, combat aging on so many different levels. Um, eh, you know, but then on top of that, we live in a culture too where, I think especially, I mean, not just men, but women and men put incredible pressure on each other to look a certain way and then associate all these beliefs with, okay, I'm only attractive, I'm only desirable if I am a size 2 or a size 4. Or in my mind, I'm aiming for a size 10, which the fact that we even have sizes, and the way we size ourselves up or size each other up is so destructive. That's another, way we have disordered eating or disordered self-image.
Wow, that hits home to me because yesterday, my family, we went to see the Dead and Company in
Oh,
Boulder. They're on their
awesome.
last tour. I know, so cool. But I imagine like there would be so many like topless women and like sleeves, no sleeves, arms out, woo, we're doing the wave or whatever you call the dead dancing. And
Mhm.
I went into my closet and I pulled down my stack of jeans and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I literally have like 4 sizes of jeans here, and the
Mhm.
ones that I need to wear to the concert are my fat jeans that I really
Right.
should unbutton the top button because they're so tight." And
Right.
I you just connected with my heart because when you said we size ourselves up, we size each other up, I also think like from the minute we get dressed in the morning, where there's this internal dialogue going on to be like, well, why aren't you fitting into those jeans anymore? And it's
Yeah.
that critical part that starts
Mhm.
judging.
Mm.
And here's one thing I think, Christine. I think we are looking at other people like spouses or friends or partners or colleagues, and we're thinking that they're thinking what we're thinking, but they're not
Mhm.
thinking what we're thinking. I know
Mhm.
that's so confusing, but like
Yeah.
the critical part of me is saying, Laura, you're wearing your fat jeans. I go
Mhm.
to the concert. No one in my family, nor the friends that we got together for the happy hour ahead of time, none of
Mhm.
them are like, I can't believe Laura is wearing her fat jeans, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that's what we're thinking. And so
Yeah.
I would say to this woman who's so ashamed to wear her bathing suit is that not only should we give ourselves self compassion and self love, we look to
Mhm.
other people and share these things with each other. So if I had said to my daughters, "Oh, you guys, I feel so fat in these jeans," the first thing they
Mhm.
would have said is, "Mom, you look awesome. Mom, you're
Mhm.
rocking it out. You're going to the dead in company with
Yeah,
us," which is
that's
so cool, right?
so cool.
They would
So
not have
cool.
said, "Mom, you're rocking out your fat jeans." They were
Yeah,
like, "Mom, you look awesome." And
yeah,
so I feel like as women, we need to talk to one another. We need
yeah,
to share our souls and
yeah,
share, like, I'm just really struggling. I don't want to
yeah.
wear a bathing suit to this thing. And she's going to say, I don't want to wear a bathing suit to this thing either. Let's get some
Mhm.
cool cover ups, like you
Yeah,
were saying, that go from here. I think that's so funny. You said sweatshirt. We're not
yeah.
wearing sweatshirts, but
Oh,
a cool cover up. You can
yeah,
still have the bathing suit underneath it, but you can wear this really cute dress on top of it, or, you know, crop jeans. I don't know, whatever you want to
yeah,
wear. But I think
yes.
as we're more honest with one another, we're going to find out we are not alone. We're not
Mhm.
alone in this, right?
That's right, that's right, and I love, this, you know, that would be the second thing I would say to this listener. First of all, recognize your relationship with your body. What sort of self talk are you putting out there? What parts are at play for you? What parts are holding shame? What parts are criticizing? What parts, where did these parts get their beliefs about what body should look like? Is that from dad? Is that from mom? Is that from culture? Is that from boyfriend? Is that, where are these beliefs coming from? And the second thing I would say to this listener is find an amazing company of women that are relating the way you want to relate to your body, are relating the same way by being open, by being vulnerable. I love one of my favorite books is called The Body is Not an Apology. Did you read that one, Laura? The Body is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love by Sonia Renee Taylor. I
I
love
did
that book.
not.
I
I
bought
will put
that
it in
book.
the show notes.
We should definitely put it in the show notes. But she just the cover. I had no idea what this book was. I bought it because of the cover because there's this gorgeous, you know, heavy, heavy woman. And how am what am I using to describe heavy? Heavy, bigger sized. I don't know what the appropriate verbiage is on the cover. And I was like, she looks like me. She's gorgeous. And she's like naked on the cover. She doesn't show full frontal, but she's like naked on the cover. And I was like, wow, whatever this woman's teaching, I need to hear it. I need to surround myself of people with people who are changing their relationship to their body, who are learning to kind of love um you know uh, this kind of beautiful body we've given, and share appreciation and compassion with it, like to be able to say, hey, it's amazing that this body of mine has put out 2 kids. It's amazing that it's gone through all of these moves and created home and security in all these places. It's amazing that it has supplied me nourishment and food when I've been in seasons of deprivation. And to really start expressing gratitude and love for the way your body has carried you through life when you felt like you were at the end of your rope or when you didn't have what you needed. Your body was working on your behalf. And so to really start
Mm,
appreciating what this body of yours has been through, what it has provided for you, what sort
mm.
of a resource it's been for you, and really just start sharing the love. Like, I just close my eyes and I literally focus on sharing love with my thighs. Like, thank you, thighs. You carry me so many places. If I was on an island and had no food, I could get through many months because of you, beautiful thighs. And really feel that, right? Like, thank you that I have everything I need and it's sticking to me.
Wow. I love that, Christine, so much. And I would say your beautiful body shows up here on the Soul Enchilada. You bring it. You bring your mind, body, soul, and strength, and you help us in so many ways. I appreciate you so much. And I'm going to have to call it quits because that, my friend, was episode 37 of the Soul Enchilada.